Well, we are here, Pro Beez TV. Delighted to be joined by the man himself, Mr. Kenny Ken. How are you?
I'm all good, all good. It's one of those things. Loads of football, you know. It's good. The sad thing is, it's very frustrating watching the FA Cup and we're not in it.
You know, funny enough, I know it's a bit disappointing, but I actually don't mind. I'd rather us try and make some progress in the league, maybe sneak up the table. I know we've had some disappointing results, but it's shown that if you have a good run of results, then you might be able to get up the table quite quickly. So it could be a blessing, Kenny.
It could be. It could be. I know a lot of people say it could be, but I think the thing is that it's all about morale and having something to look forward to. You don't want a situation with, sometimes with league games you've got nothing to play for, and you're far away from getting into Europe, and dare I say, getting to the top four. It's hard to keep the players motivated. Hard to keep them hungry. You know what I mean? Because factually, they're not going to win anything or gain anything from the season. So having something to look forward to the cup does help you out, and I think it galvanises you for the league as well. Because I think what will happen is that managers and coaches will in and ahhing whether they'll play certain personnel in big games. You know, it's like as soon as they get to the semi-final of competition, you start, thinking about playing your best players in the final. Then again, it's that sort of thing. And also players play for prices, isn't it? Players went, right, I want to play in that big game in Wembley in the semi-final, and big game at Wembley in the final. So it is disappointing, but with the way the season's been, with it's condensed as well, I kind of understand where managers are coming from in terms of how they're going to rotate their players, because it's a unique situation. COVID in 19 is basically played havoc with the calendar to the extent that they know they can have these games because they don't have a situation of having fans around, so they can create these bubbles. But whatever happens, come what may, these games, the season has to finish in May, and that's why you're going to see a lot of rotation of players.
I was seeing that Paul Merson was saying that it's probably a good thing for Arsenal to finish probably mid-table so that they can kind of focus on next year and not have Thursday night football with the Europa League, which I can see a lot of sense to, because playing on Thursday nights, traveling, into Europe, coming back. Obviously, we've got this COVID thing that I don't think it's going to be cleared up straight away. I know there's vaccinations out there, but it's going to be a part of our lives for a little while yet. And I think Arsenal kind of needs to just kind of concentrate on maybe one objective, getting into the top four. So, you've got to look for the positives, Kenny. We've got to build, for the longer term picture.
I think what Paul's saying is that in a normal kind of season where it's basically pre-COVID, Paul might have had a point, because he's looked at Chelsea winning the league in 2017. He had no European football of any sort, and they could just concentrate virtually on playing Saturday and Saturday. They have a week's rest. Leicester City, well documented, they won in Europe, and they actually played every game was either a Saturday or Sunday. So they had sufficient rest and sufficient time to practice, formations, like defensive patterns, or how, patterns of play. So there is a point. But the problem is with what Paul's saying is that next season it's going to be 21-22 season, and then within the 22-23 season, the World Cup's going to be in winter because of the great heat in Qatar. So once again, you're going to have a very condensed program next season because of the World Cup. Because again, you would have thought that the 22-23 season is going to be that season where there's going to be a bit of a break and a midwinter break because of the World Cup having to be a bit late. So I don't see a situation where it's going to be any different, because you look at this season as well. We've had a big condensation of games, especially last week, and we're going to have quite a few of them moving forward during this season. So next season shouldn't be any different. Obviously, we haven't seen the calendar, but you've got Euros going to be finished. Then you might have a little bit of break, but you've got the same sort of thing that the European leagues as well have got to look at how they're going to finish the season, because they know that there's going to be a compromise. The season's going to be compromised during 22-23 season. They may have a situation where they may start the league next season a bit later. Maybe, we start at September the 12th. Maybe again we might start in September, but have more breaks where where Paul's got a good point and you've got a good point as well, where the league, because the league may, dare I say it, start next October or late September, because we know we're going to have a break for the World Cup. So it's all about the authorities. But again, I don't think that if Arsenal are out of Europe, it's necessarily going to benefit Arsenal, and it may not benefit the current manager, because, again, it's all about money. You know what I mean? And Arsenal need the sort of prize money that you get from Champions, the Europa League participation, plus the sponsorship as well. So, obviously, it's not as lucrative as the Champions League. And again, it's highly likely that since maybe 2016, I can say we've lost between 150 million and 200 million by not being in the Champions League, and even more than that. So again, you talk about the physical positives, but football's not just all about trophies now. It's all about income and money as well. And again, player acquisition depends on whether you're playing in Europe again. So it's going to be even a harder sell next season if we're not in Europe. And where we finished, the manager could lose his job, because there has been sufficient progress from last season.
Yeah, we're going to get to that, Kenny. This weekend we have Leeds United against Arsenal. We're at home, and I don't know, do we call it the battle of mid-table? Because Arsenal, after a good month, had some dodgy results, and Leeds have climbed above us. This is a game that Arsenal, if we have aspirations of getting into Europa through the league, we need to win. This Arsenal cannot lose this game. We need to win this game.
It can't. But the thing is that Arsenal have proved very fallible this season in more ways than we've seen in other seasons. Because obviously, we were complaining for the fact that we couldn't beat our big six rivals away from home, and they had. And we were very frustrated and disappointed with that. But now we're having a situation where teams outside the big six, traditional big six, are now feeling very confident of going to the Emirates and getting results. And Leeds will be no different. They played very well against us at Ellen Road. Should have won, but I thought when we went down to 10 men, Mikel made us very compact and very difficult to beat. This Leeds side is going to be no different. They're not going to change the way they play because they're playing Arsenal. We know what's going to happen. We know they're going to play 4-1, 4-1. And we know that what they specialise in is getting overloads on both sides of the pitch, especially in the last third, especially down the right or down the left. And what it is that normally when a player plays on his own, he doesn't get any service. He doesn't even get any support or anything, because teams like Leeds, especially away from the Emirates, they're going to be planning. They normally would just say, right, do it Newcastle, play someone like Karen Wilson up front and give him no support, and just say, look, just work hard with what you've got. But Leeds are a different kettle of fish. Not only is Bamford going to be playing his own, he's not just going to get the support from crosses coming in. He's going to get men with him, because Leeds, when I was saying 4-1 and 4-1. Well, those four, those four in midfield, they like to create massive. Not that only do they like to create massive overloads in the last third, they like to get numbers. They like to outnumber the opposition in the last third, and that enables Bamford to get his space. Or if Bamford's telling mate, there's always space for like Harrison, like Rafinha or even Ayling as well, to come in that space and have shots at goal. And that's where Leeds are going to be very dangerous. The good news is if you stop all of those runs and force them to kick it long, or you let the ball break down in the last third where someone like Xhaka does his job and makes a tackle, there's loads of space on the counter attack where you can actually create overloads for yourself and get runners in, because it's going to be very hard for all those four midfielders who have just been supporting Bamford to come back and protect their back four in terms of numbers. So that's where we can get loads of choice. So like Smith Rowe, we get the ball, move it quickly either by running with the ball or making a quick pass. Boom, you got Pepe on the left, you got Saka on the right, and boom, we can get forward and basically be unmarked in goal scoring situations. But it's easier said than done because Leeds are a very, very athletic and fit side. Where basically, in layman's terms, two things can happen: either if we body them, or we get bodied ourselves because of the fact that they're going to be relentless.
Yeah, they will do. They will be. And if you look at Aston Villa, they were kind of like how Leeds were, but to a lesser extent. They kind of went man for man. They pressed us. They made it really difficult. They were quite compact, and Arsenal struggled with that slightly. I wouldn't say it totally overruled us. I would say if we had a better striker last weekend, a striker that was in form, we might have opened them up.
Well,
but I feel
arguably, you could say that give or take since Christmas, Lacazette has been in some sort of semblance of form. But I hear what you're saying.
He's not going to go in behind. Yeah,
long term, you over the last 2 or 3 years, the player that has been in form is Aubameyang. But we've agreed that Aubameyang can't play centre forward. It's not his game. So again, that begs the question: what do you do with Aubameyang and Lacazette? And do you actually sign a genuine centre forward who can actually not only score the goals but can hold the ball up, play with their back to goal? That's the utopia for Arsenal, because Aubameyang's just not going to give you that. I know a lot of fans think it makes logical sense that your top goal scorer should be playing up front, and they say, well, they'll give you, well, he scores a lot of goals, so he should be playing up front. But if you ask them, can Oba play with his back to goal? They say, well, no, he can't. Can Oba hold the ball up? Well, no, he can't. What's Oba's strengths? Oba's strengths is to run into the box, late into the box from the left-hand side, cutting and have shots from 20 or 30 yards, or also make that late run into the box where defenders can't see him coming because he's not playing with his back to goal. He's actually doing the interchange with the front three, and that makes him hard to mark. You know what I mean? That's the basis of football.
But even you saying that, Kenny, I watched quite a few games with Aubameyang, and I don't feel he gives enough interchange when he's on the left anyway.
Last season he did. And the season before that he did. He was doing that quite expertly.
Well, this season it definitely ain't. That ain't the case. Yeah, they worked us out.
Yeah.
But credit to Arteta. We were playing a certain way at the beginning of the season. Okay, we weren't getting results, but it was very cautious and defensive. And that's not Arsenal. If you was at Real Madrid or you was at Barcelona, they'll be waving the hankies. Arsenal do not play defensive style of football. Yeah, we managed last season.
Under this manager, we do.
Yeah. Well, I think he's kind of progressed the team a bit more, though. I think, he's brought in Smith Rowe. We've got Saka playing on the right-hand side. Tierney bombs down the left. The Scottish Roberto Carlos, I call him.
He's the thing with Tierney is that he's injured and he won't be playing on Sunday. Neither will be Partey. So what's happening is now, again, you have to look at the left-back situation. Not so much, you have to get a player who's good enough to play at left-back when Tierney's not playing. You want someone, an orthodox left-back, because what I'm seeing from Arteta's team this season is we play our best football when we have service coming down from left-hand side from a genuine left-footed player, especially at left-back, and that player is Kieran Tierney. Even if you play at wing back, or you play him in a back three, that's where we seem to be potent. We don't seem to be getting this sort of service down the right-hand side because for some reason Hector Bellerin is just not able or good enough, dare I say it, to give us forwards that sort of chances. And herein lies a problem for Aubameyang. Until you get us playing like Leeds in terms of attack, where you've got genuine service coming from the flanks, as well as probably someone who could slip a pass in, it's a waste of time playing Aubameyang as a centre forward because you will not get any service. And that's why whoever's in charge next season has to look at a backup at left back, and we need a new right back. We really do, because if you carry on the way we are, then we're going to finish where we are.
It's very lopsided. I think Bellerin, attacking wise, is not being what it used to be many years ago, and then also defending wise, I always look at Bellerin as a question mark. You know, when you've got a real quick winger on his side of the pitch, for me, he's always susceptible, you know, to be beaten for pace. And then when he's defending as well, he's always running back and sort of, you know, looking towards ball. And I'm like, hold on a minute, that means your positioning is off key in the first place.
In defence of Hector, since the turn of the year, he is trying to hold his own during the matches. I thought that he kind of held his own against Neto at Molineux, and I thought he kind of held his own as well down the left-hand side, where Aston Villa weren't allowed to play, create the overloads that they did at the Emirates. And he's going to have to be at his best again on Sunday, because you've got a situation where you're going to have an overload with Alioski. Then you've got Harrison as well. And also sometimes Stuart Dallas comes in and likes to make runs down at left-hand side as well, where he can cut in and create sort of confusion and leave himself in space. So again, Hector Bellerin and whoever's playing, on the left-hand side, Saka's got to be helpful there. And also Rob Holding's got to be able to guide, Saka and Bellerin into those situations. Said, look, I'm getting overloads here. I need you there. Look, a bit of talking. Because Rob Holding, again, is not a natural right-sided centre-half. His best football is played on the left-hand side or on a back three. So he's a novice where he's playing as well.
Rob Holding, for me, look, he's done well this season to a certain extent, but I saw the image, I think it was in one of the newspapers, of his defending against Aston Villa when Cedric gave the ball away, and then I think is it Traore? He bombed down the right-hand side, and he put the ball in. You saw that Rob Holding was not marking Watkins. He was far away from him. He needs to get tight, and the reason he don't get tight is because he hasn't got pace. So both of them were unhelpful, because see, what's happening with the goals is that they assumed. When you're a defender, you can't assume. All right, you have to be pessimistic. You have to be prepared for the fact that Cedric is going to make a mistake, or that out ball is going to be pressed, and Villa are going to win the ball there. So if you think like that, then you're on your toes. You're not turning your back on the game and thinking, right, let's relax here. You shouldn't relax when someone's a defender's got the ball in your area and he's trying to clear it out. You have to assume there's going to be a mistake. We didn't assume there was a mistake. So Gabriel isn't on his toes. Rob Holding is on his toes. Watkins on his toes. He's thinking, right, I'm going to prepare myself in case Traore blocks that clearance from Cedric Suarez, and then I'm going to make sure that I'm going to keep myself on side. But if that ball comes in, I'm already in front of the goal side of this defender. So when the ball's going to go, I'm going to be first to it. And that's what he did. He was the only one who anticipated that Cedric was going to make a mistake. That's what fools are trying to do. Defenders are trying to do that as well. They were caught cold first 2 minutes. The goalkeeper as well lost his footing and blah, blah, because he thought he was part of the situation. He should have been telling his defence, focus, because there could be a mistake.
they're going to learn from that. But that's what's happened is that you have to anticipate danger, because again, you're playing a team like Leeds United, who do create the overloads. You know what I mean? You're expected, because of the position you just mentioned in a table, that we got to win if we got any European aspirations. So again, we're probably going to have to win this game on a counter-attack. Dare I say it, I know you hate Spurs. I hate Spurs. I know you're not a big Mourinho fan. I'm a bit of an admirer. But look how Spurs played them at Christmas when they played Leeds. Leeds started off very well, getting a little overloads, but they left a lot of space on the counter-attack for their players to run into. Hence the fact Spurs will manage to pick them off. You know what I mean?
Kenny, could we kind of argue that, okay, so this season, I believe we have the second best defensive record, right? Aubameyang last season was second highest goal scorer. So could we go on the assumption that had he been firing this season, along with our defensive record, we could have been in the top 4?
You can't really say that, because you say that. Look at other clubs. Then you could say, well, hang on here, Man United on 45 points. Had they not lost to Sheffield United, and if they bodied Arsenal and not given away that last-minute equaliser, they could be top of the table. It happened. A lot of these situations do even itself out, and I think we are where we should be, because we. If you look at our results, you know, in November and all the way through November, most of December, this where we are on the table is a consequence of that bad situation where people were having their doubts. People like myself weren't just voicing their doubts. We tapped out and wanted instantaneous change. We knew we weren't going to get it, but losing 10 games, you know, you can't be always unlucky over a 38-game season.
Well, you know what? Yeah, Arteta, you know, as much as I'm trying to support him, right, and as much as I want him to be a success, right, there's some things I just can't support and I can't back it, right? Losing 10 games, right? I've supported Arsenal for 30 years, right? 10 losses, right?
Yes.
That's a lot of defeats in one season, right? Double digits, right? Our worst start to a Premier League season for many years, right?
Yes.
The brand of football was questionable, all right? Tactical decisions, all right? Now, the one of recent note against Villa, right? Arsenal are having joy down the left-hand side. Arteta chooses to disrupt that rhythm with Pepe and Saka down that side and bring on Willian. And at that point, I think most Arsenal fan channels and most fans have picked that part up, that was a horrendous mistake. I believe he can coach shape in terms of organization, but when it comes to an attacking strategy, that is where he's lacking, because we remember Arteta as a player, right? You remember him, 95% pass completion, right?
Passes he played in the comfort zone. I think when you look at Arteta, you've got to discount his Arsenal career and look at his career at Everton, where I think Mikel played his best football when he was at Everton, where he was playing in a more advanced midfield role under Moyes. Now, if you look at the situation now he's come to Arsenal, you know, because we didn't have, like I said, some sort of a complete midfielder and someone who's good prepared to do the dirty jobs, he's asked Mikel to play that position. So if you're the water carrier in any midfield, you are going to have a good completion rate. Didier Deschamps had a good passing completion rate. You'll probably look at Makelele's stats at Real Madrid and Chelsea, because what they're doing, they're winning the ball and giving it. And they're not playing long passes or extravagant passes. They're playing simple passes. Simple. Give it. Simple. Boom. Simple. Run. Get back in position. Protect. Read the game. You know, like I said, your defence. So basically, you're directed by your defence and you're directing your midfield to move into those forward positions to help the attack. And you're also directing that midfield, said, right, here we are now. They're on the attack. I need you there, because this runner's coming from on the left-hand side. This one runner's coming on my right-hand side. I need someone next to me to stop the runners coming from the middle, because I could do that, but I need an hand. And that's what an Arteta type player does, or dare I say, something what Kante does at Chelsea. But he's a more advanced kind of midfielder than Deschamps and Makelele, and he's a better footballer than both of them. He's probably the best midfielder in the world, although Thomas Tuchel is using him a bit sparingly. But that's kind of the Arteta player that we was at Arsenal. In terms of Arteta as a coach, if you don't mind me saying so,
yeah.
Had Arteta not been assistant coach at Man City, would he be getting the same sort of level of support that he's getting now? Would he get the same where a lot of fans seem to be willing him on? They're seeing something that someone like myself and others are not seeing. I still have not seen an identifiable style of play. I've seen things in little bunches and tricklets, but in terms of like the long-term plan, I think a lot of fans are mistaken when they talk about long-term plan. The long-term plan isn't Arteta's long-term plan. The long-term plan has been in with us, or been, dare I say, in the process, 100% since the 23rd of April 2018, when Arsene Wenger was dismissed, because the process is and has been for the last 3 years project re-entry into the Champions League, project re-entry into challenges for the title. So the person who took over this baton was Unai Emery. Baku forced him out. Players like Mesut Ozil and Mustafi and all those cliques, turn against him. They started, looking at his ability to grasp the language and his tactics. Got much better results than Arteta, much better coach than Arteta, a multi-winning trophy winner at Sevilla and at PSG.
Yeah.
But he's not appreciated at Arsenal for some reason. Arsenal fans got very impatient, wanted him sacked. The same things that they've criticised Emery from, they seem to be giving Arteta a buy. It's like Arsene Wenger wasn't the manager that left us in deep stuck. It was Unai Emery, all by himself, within 18 months, all by himself. He's been here 5 minutes, and he's meant to be leaving this disaster of a team, and that, forget the previous regime and Arsene Wenger, it's all Unai Emery's fault. When the things we were accusing Unai Emery of, we were moaning about under Arsene.
Yeah,
but that's conveniently forgotten. Now we've got the Messiah, and we've got the patron saint of coaches. I mean, how many superlatives and plaudits does a coach have to earn without actually doing anything? He's won the FA Cup. Good score. We finished 8th. Very, very underwhelming. So what happens this season if he finishes below 8th and he doesn't win a trophy? Where's the progress? What has he done? Maybe define how this man keeps his job. Because surely people say, it's a long-term project. They give him a 3.5-year contract. Yes. But where I've come from, he's not the first manager to get that sort of long-term investment for the club. I'm sure Lampard got something for Chelsea. We know David Moyes got a very long-term contract at Man United. But the powers that be at Man United were looking within the first year of that project and process and thought, hang on here, we should be expecting at least the top 4 here. This guy's out, he's gone. Lampard scraped in got into the top 4. I think they scraped in. They had deficiencies defensively, conceded a lot of goals. 6 and 7s with the keeper suitability, still messing around with defence. I'm sure the Chelsea board had their doubts and wanted to pull the trigger, but thought, hang on here, let's give him a chance. Where the first instinct could have been saying, well, this guy's gone as far as he can go as a coach, as far as we can go with him as a coach. But they trusted her, and they didn't trust her, and Six kept him on by Christmas, and then especially into the end of January, said, no, it's time's up, mate. We need to salvage our season. They didn't see enough progress within those 18 months that Frank was in the job. That's what I'm trying to say. Arteta's got all the goodwill, but someone at the club needs to explain to me not just the process, or whether they genuinely believe that they've seen sufficient progress when we finish, we're highly likely to finish lower than we finished last season without any silverware. So are you saying that this season was a buy anyway? A big club like Arsenal going to countenance and accept those sort of results, accept not being in the Champions League, accept not being in Europe and calling that progress? When you're losing money hand over fist by non-Champions League qualification, you're going to lose money hand over fist by not being in Europa League. And the person who you've made the team manager, not the coach, the team manager who has, dare I say it, part of the transfer committee in charge of player recruitment and player retention in terms of getting in these first 11, he's going to get a buy for that. And it's going to be a process. Just be patient. Come on. Look, who's falling new here?
Yeah, look, it don't look great on paper. But what I'd say is, in my mind, I think what's giving Arteta an extra blight is he's brought in a couple of these young players, right?
Okay. So Unai Emery brought all these players in. Unai Emery brought in Saka. Unai Emery gave Smith Rowe his debut. He gave Smith Rowe's debut, and he gave Saka his debut. Let's not forget that Maitland-Niles played sufficient amount of football under Unai Emery because Bellerin was injured with first his groin and then his knee. So Maitland-Niles played a lot of those things. The only youngster that seems to have got their debuts and a bit of, although he's been mismanaged in my opinion badly, is Florian Balogun.
Who we probably might lose. Yeah.
But that's again because of the poor man management. There's the situation. He brought Pepe into the side. Unai Emery's the one who gave him his debut. In terms of like the Saliba situation, my thoughts are this. I've got no problem with you not rating a player. That's your prerogative. That's your choice. But make a decision. Sell the player. Don't just say, oh, we need to go out on loan. Sorry, that's pathetic. He was out on loan already. His loaning process was in France with Saint Etienne, where you didn't think he was ready. And we said, right, loan him back, blah, blah. And then once he's had another year's experience in the Saint Etienne first team, bring him back. Now, if Arteta's looked at him and said, no, it's not ready, sell the guy, stop wasting their time, get our money back and move on, get another centre-half and do your shopping. Wasting time. This thing, Arteta's getting credit because he finally got rid of the dead wood. Well, hang on here. This dead wood didn't suddenly become non-selectable this season. They were non-selectable during Unai's time and even before Unai got to the club under Wenger. So again, he's wasted precious time this season in getting rid of them. He should have been doing that in September. It should have. There was no chance of these guys getting games. I know one of them, Socrates was never getting a team. So you should have just negotiated and offer him the money then.
Yeah. What I would say as well, you mentioned Ozil. What I would say is, during the time that he was there before he went, there were a couple of games that we could have done with him on the bench that would have created opportunities, to score goals.
He wasn't creating these opportunities and playing this well when he did get his chance. So again, Arsenal fans, it's after the event. He had from December up until lockdown, where he had a run of games where if you ask me, what did he actually produce? What did he produce? So if he wasn't producing with his chance, what makes you think he's going to produce when he? What makes you think he's going to produce anything when he this season? I think.
But Kenny, I get where you're coming from. I've been very critical of Ozil for a long time, but what I'm saying to you, there was a stage in the season where we had nothing creative wise, like nothing, right? Up until ESR came to the team, right? Recently, there was nothing. It was very, it was awful. Arrigo Sacchi, prime Mourinho, horrible George Graham type of football. It was horrible, man.
I hear you. But the thing is, what I'm trying to say is that you know what Mesut is capable of. It was the same thing when during 1998, when Glenn Hoddle left that Paul Gascoigne. He's left him out for football, for physical, not for footballing reasons, skill-wise. He's left him out because his level of fitness wasn't great. Because of the games that Paul was playing, in the warm-up games, nothing was being produced. So when England were struggling to create a chance, maybe against teams, they were thinking, oh, a half-fit Gaza may have opened a few doors. We're saying Mesut Ozil would have done it. He maybe come off the bench. Sorry, Mesut Ozil doesn't come off the bench. Mesut Ozil starts games from you. Mesut Ozil plays his games. And when he started these games, he wasn't producing what was required. You know, and that's the situation. Is if he was producing what was required, then you got currency, i.e., his performances, to work with and to fight Arteta with. Now, people are going to say, "Oh, yeah, but it was a ball." Do me a favour. How can you be the team manager in charge of player recruitment and in charge of team selection, and then you've got all these titles, but someone who's got no footballing pedigree, or no in terms of like tactical knowledge, or just been playing the game, an executive has told you how not to pick your team. So what is it? He's either a team manager or he's a coach. You can't praise Arteta and say, oh, he's sorted his team out with rod and iron, and yet he's done all that, but he's been allowed to be dictated to by an executive to say, don't play him as Ozil in your team, leave him out of the squad because he didn't take a pay cut, or because he said something about the Uyghur Muslims. I mean, come on. Does anyone believe that? That nonsense? Only Ozil fans are going to come out there garbage and rubbish.
Well,
anyone who's got a footballing brain and has got who knows the game inside out isn't going to fall for that garbage. How about the truth that Mick Arteta thought Mesut Ozil was a cloud around his team, didn't need him, wanted to overhaul our playing style, looked at him in training. He wasn't doing it in training. He wasn't working hard enough. He expected the same sort of leeway he got with Arsene Wenger, where he picked and chose his training sessions and his matches. Unai Emery said no, left him out and said bye-bye, but decided to do what you said, bring him back because we were trying for creativity, made the situation even more untenable. And Ozil, by the way, wasn't producing anyway. Arteta's done the same thing, left him out. It was always for maybe not your football reasons, Pro Beez, or my footballing reasons, but it's the manager's reasons. He knows what the situation at his football club, and he sees it day in, day out. You shouldn't, like I said, supplement your love of Mesut Ozil or your disagreement with the coach by coming out with this sort of banal fairy tales that he was left out because of his political opinions. Oh, please, really? This is Western Europe, not bloody North Korea.
all right. Well, look, we have some tough games. Like, obviously, the Leeds game That's
Yes,
not given. That is a mid-table. What do you call it? A mid-table decider.
yes.
That's it,
They've
right?
lost. They've
Yeah,
lost that. They've lost 10 games as well like this season.
this is our
But
level. This is our
yeah,
level at the moment.
and see that's the thing. But it shouldn't be accepted. The way you're
Yeah,
saying it is that's our level at the moment. You're saying that should be accepted and tolerated.
no, definitely
And
not. Definitely not.
no. I'm not saying you're
Yeah,
saying it like that. But when you say it's that
yeah,
level at the moment, you're saying it. But there's other fans who are
mm,
accepting of this, which is their right because it's their opinions, their supporters' experience, and they say, well, Mikel Arteta's,
build it.
needs more time. He needs
Mm.
more time. We're in a transitional period. We've got the wrong owners. That's the excuse I'm hearing, and that he's never been able to get his own players in. That's another excuse, and that he's had injuries and VAR, and
No,
it's not
we
really
have.
fair.
To be fair, we have been done. Yeah,
38 game
this,
season,
I
Pro
don't really.
Breeze, Pro Breeze, a 38
We've
game
been done.
season. You
Yeah, we've
Pro
been
Breeze,
definitely been done
yeah,
though,
all right,
Kenny.
in
We've
certain
definitely been
games,
done.
but Pro Breeze,
Yeah.
a 38 game season doesn't lie. After 10 games, of course it lies because
Mm.
we're sprinting. We're not in the sort. We're sprinting. After 20 games, we're not sprinting such. We're like getting how do I say it? How do I say it? You know, when you're in a long distance race and you have someone who creates a pace for you, we got that situation. But after 38 games, it's the truth. You finish where you deserve to be. No fear because you can't be unlucky over 38 games. You know what I mean? There's no
I think
fluke.
he's also okay. So the performances have been poor. All right, we're going to just kind of conclude. There has been a lack of goals, a lack of entertainment, also as well, which is quite worrying. I know we're talking about Arteta, right?
Mm.
He's been out coached in some games. He's been out coached, right?
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to
And
happen.
one of the games I know he was out coached was Leicester at home. Do you remember that
Yes.
game?
Yes.
Out coached, definitely out coached by Brendan Rodgers. That game, that was one of them.
Villa at home, out coached.
Yeah,
Villa sussed it out the fact that Rob Holding is not a right-sided centre half, and that Bellerin was struggling, and that what's happened is that Villa just, saw the Man City game earlier that season when Man City identified the weak part of our game in terms of that right hand side. If you look at the goal that Man City scored, there was only one goal, but it was an overload down our right hand side in terms of defensively. Teams, he was out coached by Villa in that situation. You could say that Wolves sussed that situation out as well. And so there were loads of times where you are going to get out coached. It's going to happen. People say that he out coached Frank Lampard in the FA Cup final in this season.
yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. We will give him that. Yeah,
He said, but it comes in roundabouts. But regardless of whether you think you think Arteta is a good coach or not, results are the evidence, and depends on which judge and jury. It's very hard for a judge and jury, i.e., the powers to be behind the scenes, to not look at those results and not think, well, this could be the norm under this coach, and say, well, we need a change and we need more experience, and we should never. We've tried to give this guy as much time as well, but we haven't got 2.5 years left to give him even more time, because we could be having a situation where we could be finishing like this every season out of Europe, which means we're at the top four and not challenging, which means, again, player recruitment is going to be difficult. In terms of like the merchandise, we're going to get merchandise, but only because of the Arsenal name, not because of what we do in the game. You look at this summer. Had it not been for COVID, we would have been going away to America or Singapore, right or wrong. Now, if Arsenal were finishing like 10th every season, we wouldn't be getting those invites. Despite the fact we've got loads of fans all over the world, that's not going to be enough, and that's going to be a money killer. And that's where the decision has to be made. This can't carry on. It can't carry on like this. with Arteta may be a good coach somewhere else, but in my opinion, he's not right for Arsenal. And Arsenal's always got to come first, not some sort of experiment or the fact that we're willing a manager on to do well when really and truly we can't keep. We've got to cut the cord.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's learning on the job. We can clearly see that.
And therein lies the problem. And therein lies the problem. You've used that key phrase. He's learning the job. Tuchel at Chelsea isn't learning the job. He's got experience. Jurgen Klopp isn't learning the job. Neither is Ancelotti. And that's what Arsenal needed. All right? We needed. Maybe Arteta was the third choice, and maybe managers think, no, I'm looking at the budget and what you're offering me. He said, no, I'm not interested. There's some managers that some managers that when they come to the club, you're not interviewing them, they're interviewing you. You know what I mean? So, and if you're not selling the club to them, it's all right. I'll get back to you. I'll let you know. Can you give us an answer in 2 or 3 days?
Hey,
this, but and that's the thing. We need to be able to get this club to where it's more attractive to the better managers. But to do that, we need to replace this manager at the end of the season. You take a risk in terms of expenditure on not just players but the new manager staff and get a big name in. This is Arsenal Football Club. It's a daddy club. Don't call yourself a big club if you're not going to aim high. If your standard's going to be mediocre and you're going to have a manager learning the job, then stop calling yourself a big club. Stop bantering Tottenham. Stop bantering them, laughing at other clubs because you're a nothing club at the moment. You're not challenging for Europe. You're not challenged for the title. You're not challenged for the top 4. You're not even part of the conversation.
Do you know what? There's a number of ways that we can look at this, but we'll definitely talk about Arteta and we'll talk about Arsenal's position at some point next week. But in terms of the game this weekend, what are your predictions for Arsenal versus Leeds?
Look, I'm going to look. It's either going to be 3-0 to us because Leeds are going to leave so much space because the ball's broken down and they've neglected their defensive duties, or they're going to take their chances, and then if they take chances, they're going to take the game away from us. And then whilst we're trying our hardest to get back in the game, they're just going to hit us on the break, like the thing. So you're going to get 2 performances from these. You're either going to get the performance that they produced when they lost to Man United or when they lost to Spurs, because we don't think we have that sort of attacking potency in Man United, so we could do a Spurs performance and win 3-0. Or they could produce this type of football they produced 2 weeks ago when they beat Leicester at the King Power Stadium. It's either or. It's either 3-0 Arsenal or 3-1 Leeds. I'd rather it be 3-0 Arsenal. But I don't know.
You know what? I'm going to be more positive. I'm going to say it's going to be 2-0 Arsenal. I think Saka will get in the score sheet. I think Aubameyang will play and he will score. And I just think, do you know what? I think against these teams, I'm not disrespecting Southampton, Leeds, Aston Villa, but we need to approach these teams like we're a big club. I know we've fallen from grace, but we need to start putting it on these teams now. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Great.
Go into the games, no cautious defensive play. Go out there and try and win the game. Yeah, just we're Arsenal. Yeah, let's do it.
That's the thing. We have to do actions speak louder than words, though. And what you're saying has to just come from a lot of things. Because what's happened is that this sort of any standards would do, or this sort of attitude. Arsenal haven't got a divine right to win trophies. That kind of trickles down to the fans. And invariably, when fans use phrases like "it's a process," or "give them some time," or "we haven't got a divine right to win trophies," they're only saying that is because they're trying to support their opinion, which is where the majority are behind Mikel Arteta. you use phrases like that. You weren't using those sort of phrases under Unai Emery, were you? But you're using a lot against like you're looking like those phrases under Arsene Wenger. Well, it isn't really that bad. Well, I don't see what's wrong. And then the other excuse you're hearing is, well, we're getting outspent by Man United, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, and blah blah, and we're not on their level. So what do you expect? When you
There's
talk
some
like
credence
this,
to that, though. There is some credence to that. The amount of spending is kind of linked to
I've
other things as well.
got three words to say to you regarding that. West Ham United.
Yeah, they're having a season of their lives.
West Ham
I don't
United.
know. I don't know how the hell that's happened, but they're having a season of their lives.
My three words.
In fairness, when we beat them early in the season, they played really well that game, and they shouldn't have lost that game. So that was probably an indication of the season that they were going to have down the line.
But I say it again, West Ham United. For every time you say, well, this is a crazy season and the teams are so above us. Well, David Moyes doesn't seem to think it. Don't get me wrong, he's probably a more negative manager than Mikel Arteta. But his results are better than Mikel Arteta. They're on 39 points. I'm sure teams have got a game in hands on them as well, but they are difficult to beat. He's got a system and a formation where it works for on players. You know, he's got a midfielder who, for some reason, finds space out of nowhere, and he's useless in the box. He scored a few goals coming from midfield, so he's managed in that respect. He supports Mikel Arteta. Remember, they've had a lot of games where Antonio, their first choice centre forward, hasn't played. Heller is he on loan? Has he been sold? Oh, it's never been good enough for West Ham, but they still managed to get together and get better results than us on lesser resources, and with players that are not as good as ours.
Yeah, there's arguments all around. Hey, Kenny, man, it's been a pleasure to have you on.
It's good to talk, isn't it?
We're gonna look. There's loads of topics to talk about, but I think we're gonna have more to talk about after Sunday's game, 100%. So, and
Always.
The Benfica game as well. So, and the Man City game. There's a lot going on. And next week, there's going to be a lot to discuss. You know.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. They're not easy games, are they? Leeds at home. Leeds at home. Then we got Benfica. Yeah. Was in it Leicester, or was it Man City? Then Leicester. I mean, these games will. How many times have we said it? It's going to define our season.
It will define Arteta's future. I can guarantee that.
I can guarantee you. Yeah. It may define his future in your hands, but with a lot of people who are firmly behind Arteta, it wouldn't make a bandit difference. In fact, they're cursing people and sticking their oar into other people's supporters' experience, because some fans have the temerity to see this season for what it is, a complete and utter disappointment, and we're laying the blame firmly at the door of the manager.
All right.
Not everyone is.
Kenny, man, it's been a pleasure. Guys,
always
make sure
is.
You subscribe. Pro Beez TV. Kenny Ken, we out here. Thank you.
I'm out.